If you are struggling with direction, a loss of motivation, or everything seems to just not be working out in your favor currently, you may be going through a flop era. And it's okay, we all go through these phases in our life, and I like to call them flop eras because that's exactly how they feel. It's just like that point in your life where it seems like everything you're doing is just not hitting right, but you also don't know how to fix it, and then you have like this lack of mental clarity and just a lack of overall motivation to do anything about it. It's just like a severe flop era. I want to share with you my go-to productivity and self-care tips that I don't hear a lot of people mention a lot, but I think are really important when it comes to help respark motivation and to get someone back to feeling like themselves again. And I'm going to speak about them in the order that you should start implementing these tips into your life so that they're the most effective. So it's important that you don't skip ahead because every tip is going to build off of the previous one. My first tip to getting out of a flop era is to get off of social media. Go dark for a while. No TikTok, no Facebook, and definitely no Instagram. Just stay off of any app that's going to distract you. Except YouTube. You can just stay on here and watch my videos all day, nobody else's, and you'll be fine. But in all seriousness, comparison is a very powerful emotion. It's a very natural human emotion. And if you are already in the trenches of life, the last thing you need to be doing is getting on an app and seeing everyone else's highlight reels. This is just going to make you feel even worse, and it could honestly trigger you to start to become resentful or even jealous. So to avoid this, remove all stimuli in your life that really triggers those feelings of comparing yourself to others. The last thing you need to see is the girl you used to work with sunbathing in St. Bart's while you rot in bed. Like, that's not the time to be looking at that kind of content. This is a time where you need to start being really intentional about what you give your energy to. And like Tony Robbins always says, attention is energy. What you give your attention to, you're giving your energy to. And if you are currently in this flop era, you don't have that much energy as it is. So we need to be focusing it all on getting you better and getting you out of this state. And on top of getting off of social media, you also need to stop going out. Yes, see your friends. Yes, see your family. We love community. But going to the club, going to parties every weekend, drinking, smoking, if anything, that's going to keep you in the same place you are currently. Alcohol is a depressant, and I read somewhere it can take almost 10 to 12 days for your body, mind, and nervous system to completely reset itself after a night of drinking. If you're really serious about getting your life together, now is not the time to be going out every weekend, getting drunk, having your friends constantly come over, being on the phone constantly, being on FaceTime 24/7, scrolling constantly. Now is not the time. You need to think of yourself as a house that is currently going under renovations. Like, we are going to be putting a symbolic tarp over you because now is not a good time to have people coming in and out of your house. You're under construction right now, so you need to limit all of the going out and socializing. Like, if you're constantly allowing all these distractions in your life, you're not going to be able to hear your own thoughts. And I know this scares a lot of people. You know, a lot of people don't like sitting with their own thoughts because it just freaks them out, but you have to do this. Like, if you want to get out of a funk, you have to remove distractions because you need to be able to hear yourself speak to yourself. After you've got rid of the distractions and you can now hear your own thoughts again, it's now time to start reprogramming your brain. And one of the best things that I have to constantly remind myself, and it really puts a fire under my feet, is understanding that you have free will. You have a say in how you conduct yourself every single day. Once you start to take responsibility for the fact that every day you wake up, you can choose to do something that your future self will thank you for later. Sometimes when we go through these phases of our life where nothing seems to be working out, you can start to feel really hopeless and just start allowing life to happen to you. And this is a dangerous mindset to get into because this is when you start to relinquish the power that you have over your own life. And you can start to develop a victim mentality. And I'm very qualified to talk about this because I've been there, done that. When I was younger, I had a really hard time taking accountability for my role and why my life wasn't the way I wanted it to be. I knew there were certain things I wanted to change. I knew how to change them, but I chose not to. I chose to not wake up early and go to the gym. I chose to not study for that exam. I chose to sleep in and then be late for work. I chose to be irresponsible with my money. All of these things were choices that I made. Nobody made me do these things. And these choices led to bigger problems in my life. And I had to reap the consequences of that. And yes, there are contributing factors in my life that influence me to have these habits or develop these thinking systems. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if you have a victim mentality, I'm going to trigger you. Unless you are shackled in a basement somewhere, you have some type of authority over your life. And this is coming from someone who's been diagnosed with ADHD 3 separate times in their life. I know what trauma is. I know what anxiety is. I've been through a lot. I could sit here all day and tell you about the things that I've gone through. But at the end of the day, especially as an adult, you have to take responsibility for the choices in your life and the role that you play and why your life is the way that it is. What I see happen with a lot of people who feel stuck in their lives is they spend a lot of time focusing on the things they can't control instead of focusing on the things they can control. When you start focusing on the things that you do have control over instead of just complaining about all the things you don't have control over, you take your power back. Now, there will obviously be contributing factors that will make this easier or harder for certain people. For example, if you live with dysfunctional people, if you live in a very chaotic environment, obviously it's going to be a lot harder for you to break this mentality. Life is not fair, and so you're just going to have to work a lot harder, because this is the thing. Do you want to work a lot harder to getting where you want to be in life, breaking out of this bad mentality, breaking out of having these horrible habits, and be able to achieve the things that you want? Or do you just want to do nothing about it and stay where you are and be miserable and just watch everyone around you move forward, progress, surpass you? Even to this day, when I'm in one of my moods and I start having a pity party, I have to stop myself and say, wait, you have a choice to not feel like this right now. Like, you're making yourself upset over things that haven't even happened yet. And I promise you, you were not just put here to be blown around by the wind and then eventually die. Like, you have a purpose to be here. You have power in your life. You have authority over your life. You have free will. Use it. My next tip is going to be getting rid of shame. When you are in a flop era, especially if you're not living up to the potential that you know you have, it can be really easy to start to feel ashamed of yourself because you know what you're capable of, but you're not doing it. And shame is a really powerful emotion, and it can actually keep you stuck. It's almost like your body goes into paralysis. Once you understand that it's important to take accountability over your life, it is also important to start implementing self-compassion, because you can't do one without the other, or else you'll just start to become really cruel to yourself. Unfortunately, for a lot of us, really no fault of our own, is that we are really taught to be really cruel to ourselves. Some common messages that I know a lot of people feel deep down is that you're not a good person and you don't deserve good things. And in my experience, that's one of the biggest beliefs that keeps people in the same place that they were yesterday, a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Listen, because I'm here to tell you, there is no way that you can constantly tell yourself that you're not a good person and that you don't deserve good things and feel guilty every time something good does happen to you, and also be continuously making good choices that will lead you to the dreams that you have and the things that you want in this life. Because eventually, somewhere on this journey, you're going to self-sabotage. Like, have you ever had a problem that you've constantly complained about to somebody, and then when they offer you advice or a solution, you get annoyed with them or you don't follow up? Like, maybe you were complaining about not having a job, and so they say, hey, my job is hiring, here, I'll send you the application, and then you just like never fill it out, and then you just continue to be broke and have no job. That's self-sabotage. That's because somewhere in the back of your mind, it's not conscious, it's usually subconscious, which affects 90% of our behavior, is telling you that you don't deserve to get out of this bad situation. It's comfortable where you're at. Even though you might be in a place in your life where things feel painful, because your mind is so used to that pain, it will actually try to keep you stuck in that place. So what we will do, even if we're making changes in our lives for the better, because we don't know what is on the other side, we will actually start to sabotage ourselves to stay stuck, because at least we know what this feels like. It's horrible, but we know what to expect. Like, even when you're broke, you know what it feels like to not have money. And even though it may feel terrible, you know what it feels like. So a lot of times when people get opportunities to make more money or network or whatnot, they will end up not taking those opportunities or sabotaging them subconsciously, because your mind just gets so comfortable with struggle. So what you're going to have to start doing is speaking to yourself with a lot of compassion and a lot of reassurance, because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're going to have your off days. You have to tell yourself, yes, I have authority over my life. I have a choice in whether I do something today that my future self will thank me for, but I also can choose not to. And if I choose not to, that does not make me a bad person. It does not make me a loser. I am not suddenly 10,000 steps behind because I decided to take 1 or 2 days off. You have to start rewiring the way that you speak to yourself so that you don't become ashamed of yourself when you do make mistakes. When you're trying to change habits, it's going to take time. And that's why I'm telling you to do these things in this certain order, because if you try to implement all of these things all at once, you're going to get burnt out. It's better to tackle these things one day at a time, or even 1 week at a time, and then slowly stack them on top of each other. An important aspect in being able to take action in your life is to remove that subconscious shame that a lot of us carry. And the way that you remove shame is through self-compassion and self-acceptance. So now that you understand the power of your own choices and your thoughts, it's now time to take action, and that needs to start with moving your body. It doesn't even have to be anything productive. You need to just start moving. You need to get all of this stagnant energy out of your body. If you have been rotting in bed for days or weeks, you're going to feel very sluggish and not even have the energy to do even like basic necessities. And remember, a body in motion stays in motion, and a body at rest remains at rest. It is very easy to get into the habit of not prioritizing exercise and just overall not being active. Physical activity allows your brain to release endorphins, dopamine, and testosterone. And all of these chemicals are really important that make you happy, and they also help you with motivation. You will be shocked what a 10-minute walk outside can do for you. And we also store a lot of emotions in our bodies, especially shame. Shame is one of those emotions that gets stored in your chest and in your stomach area and even your hips. And so you have to move your body, especially if you've been feeling a lot of feelings lately and they feel like they're kind of just like stuck and balled up inside of you. You have to move your body to like release it. Also, if you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, it can be really easy to get into this place where you almost feel like you're existing outside of your body and you feel really disconnected from your body. And every day you should be doing something intentional that allows you to connect back with your body. Every day you need to be doing something that really makes you feel your body. And that's why exercise is a great way to do that, because when you're exercising, you have no choice but to feel your body, right? It doesn't feel good. You feel your arms burning. You feel your butt burning when you do squats. And that discomfort will allow you to feel really present and in the moment. And this is the thing. thing. You don't have to start with anything super complicated. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym. If you want to go on a walk, go on a walk. If you want to do push-ups when you first wake up, do that. Or if you want to just like dance in your room, like dancing to music that you enjoy is a really great way to just get back in touch with your body. Start at a level that you're comfortable at, and then over time, slowly start to add more resistance. Have you noticed a lot of people who work out a lot also seem to kind of have their lives together? Like they're very on top of stuff. The apartment is clean. They have food prep in the fridge. I feel like they're always making a list or like doing laundry. This is just something I've always noticed about people who are really active. Obviously, it's not everyone, but I see this a lot. And that's because once you start to train your brain to push through physical discomfort, mental discomfort becomes a lot easier. Because if you are able to go to the gym and beat your body up by choice and put it through physical pain, shredding your mail becomes a lot less taxing. So go outside, touch some grass, or dance in your room. Just do something. Move your body. Another big tip that I have learned that has helped me get out of a place of feeling mentally stuck is to create more than I consume. We are not just physical beings, but we are also spiritual beings, and we were created by a creator, which means we have this inherent desire to create things. Everything that is living has a desire to create something. With animals, it's a lot of procreation. With humans, which makes us really different, is we not only engage in procreation, but we also engage in creation just for fun, for self-expression. And unfortunately, as you get older, unless you work in an industry that requires you or allows you to express some type of creativity, this part of you really just almost dies with adulthood. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you made something not out of necessity, but for fun? When's the last time you baked something just to see if you could do it? When's the last time you drew something? When's the last time you put makeup on your face, not because you had to go somewhere, but you just wanted to see what you looked like with green eyeshadow? When you're in a place where you have no type of creative outlet, you are constantly going to be in a place of consumption. And there's nothing inherently wrong with consumption, but when the scales are way off balance and you are just constantly consuming and not really creating anything, it's going to cause a lot of disharmony in your mind. This is why you're constantly scrolling. This is why you're constantly eating when you're not hungry. This is why you are buying things that you know you don't need. And all of these things are just placeholders. They're never going to fill the void that self-expression and learning new things will do for you. Having some type of creative hobby is just so important. It doesn't have to be intricate. For example, I like to color. I have adult coloring books. I have markers. I love to do this if I don't feel like being on my phone or I just feel like I'm looking at TV too much. I will just open up my adult coloring book and just sit there and completely zone out. And if you're saying, well, I don't know what to do, I don't know what I want to do as a hobby, my best tip is to think about the things you like to do as a child and you will probably find your answer. If you loved to paint or draw as a kid, you probably still enjoy doing that now. You just haven't done it in so long. Another hobby that I like to do that costs me no money is I like to learn the choreography from my favorite music videos. And so I will just sit there with my laptop and just copy the dance moves. And number one, I'm getting lots of exercise, I'm having fun, and I'm expressing myself creatively through dance, and I'm just like learning new things, which is always great. Create more than you consume. Another tip for getting out of your flop era is to take care of yourself, not only your mind and your body, but also your environment. So if you've been rotting in bed all day, you're surrounded by a messy room, you have food all over your bedside table, you haven't vacuumed your carpet in weeks, the air is all dusty and stagnant, that is not a conducive environment to nurture and foster productivity. Like even if you close your eyes and you imagine a house that is really messy and you think about what is the energy that you feel inside a home that is full of stuff and there's just like really no organization to it. Does it feel good? Do you feel like you can breathe? No, it feels very stagnant. It feels very claustrophobic, and that's because the energy in the place really is stagnant. If there's just stuff everywhere, the air in that place cannot flow properly, and therefore the energy in that place cannot flow properly. And most of the time when you go into someone's environment that feels very stagnant and very claustrophobic, 9 out of 10 times they are also very stagnant in their lives as well. I don't know many productive people who are mentally well who live in very cluttered places or places that are dirty, like they leave food and trash on the floor. I don't know that many people who live like that and also have their lives together. And on top of your environment, you also need to be mindful of what you're eating. If you eat like crap, you're going to feel like crap. Sometimes you can feel really sluggish and depressed because you have a vitamin deficiency. Like if you're not eating multiple servings of vegetables and fruit a day, you probably are deficient somewhere in your vitamin intakes, and that can absolutely affect you mentally. That can give you anxiety, that can give you insomnia, that can just make you just weird. You know, it can just make you start to act really weird, and it's because you're not eating right. Your diet plays a huge role on how you feel and the level of energy that you have. Like if you know you're eating food that has no nutritional value behind it, don't be shocked when you don't have energy. And if you don't have it in you to cook healthy, something that I always do is just drink green juices. You can get like a whole pack for like $12 and it can give you a lot of vitamins and minerals. And also obviously obviously taking supplements, multivitamins. I love taking magnesium at night and vitamin D during the day. I see a huge difference in my mood when I do these things. And also, of course, taking care of your hygiene every single day. The way that you choose to present yourself during the day, even if you're not leaving the house, does have an effect on your behavior and how you feel about yourself. So making sure you just wake up, shower, brush your teeth, wash your face, comb your hair back, just do these little things to help you to be able to take pride in your appearance, because it really does help foster self-confidence and can help you to influence your behavior to go after the things that you want in life. Like, I know people joke about it, but hair depression is really real. It is. When you don't look your best, you don't feel your best. So now that we have taken care of all of those other things, my last tip is now it is time to come up with a plan. You need to figure out what needs to get done, ASAP, what can wait, what do we need to be focused on. Like, it's time to get to work. And I put this step towards the end of the video because it's so important that before you start a plan, you need to make sure your head is in the right place. You need to make sure you're able to hear your own thoughts and not other people's thoughts. You need to make sure you're being motivated by the things you actually want and not comparison or jealousy. And you need to be able to be in just a good headspace, taking care of yourself, moving your body before you start writing down your goals and the things that you want. Because if you're not in a good headspace first, you're going to sell yourself short. I just always feel like when I'm in a rut, when I'm in just like this flop era of my life, when I do it in this order, I'm able to execute things so much better and I'm able to like really dream big. You need to start figuring out what are your goals for the next 3 months and what you need to do to be able to reach them. I'm a list person. I make a list for everything: grocery list, to-do list, skincare list. It does not matter. I make a list for literally every aspect of my life. This is something that I do, which is you're going to make a list for every category of your life where you have a goal that you want to reach. And you're going to make 2 lists within that list. So for example, if you have financial goals, you're going to make 2 lists. One list is going to have the things that you need to do to reach those goals that you perceive to be fairly easy in effort. And the second list is going to be the things you need to do to reach those goals that you perceive to be fairly hard in effort. So throughout your week, you're going to pick 2 things off of the easy list, 1 thing off of the hard list. And you can do this by each category. So say you have financial goals, you have relationship goals, you have health goals. You can pick 2 things off of the easy list and 1 thing off of the hard list. So what you're going to do is each week you're going to complete those things off of the list, and you can even stagger them where you do like 3 easy things one day, 2 hard things another day, or 1 hard thing one day, but you're going to just like divide it up throughout your week so that you're not doing just like all this stuff back to back over and over again. That's really hard and difficult because once again, you're going to be like, I can't do this, and you're just going to stop doing everything. So you're slowly going to start stacking these things on top of each other. I like to start out with the easy things first because at least you've completed something, and it's kind of like you get this boost of dopamine once you've just completed something, and then you can start to have like this inertia to keep going versus starting with something that you know is going to be really hard. And there's just something about being able to like cross off something off of your list after you have completed it. It just feels so good and satisfying. And I do this with multiple aspects of my life where I have certain goals. And when I break down things in such small bullet points, it becomes a lot more digestible for my brain to be able to like understand that this is what I need to do and like I'm able to do it. For example, if you tell yourself, oh, you need to do your taxes, that can just like feel so overwhelming to a person, right? It's like, oh, okay, I got all this stuff to do. But if you just tell yourself one day, I need to collect all of my 1099s or W-2s, and that's all you're going to do today. You're just going to collect all of the income paperwork. Then maybe the next day you say, I'm going to call my accountant, and that's all you're going to do that day. And then the next day you're going to gather up your expenses or whatever, right? That's the hard thing that takes more time. You're going to do that just one day. You're going to focus on that one point of doing that one task, and then you're going to move on to something from a different category that's more easy. And that way you just break it up so much better and it just becomes so much more digestible. So this is all I have for today. I hope this was useful. These are the same tips that I use to help me get out of those dark places in my life. And I hope that you can use them too and see great results. And comment down below something that I didn't mention that you personally use to get yourself out of these flop eras or just get out of this place of feeling like, bleh, Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me with the algorithm. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok. I'm constantly posting over there, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.